So, what's the biggest threat to your investments? I mean, it's the question every single one of us asks, right? Is it a sudden market crash, a surprise recession, some terrible earnings report from a company you own? Well, the answer might actually surprise you. You see, the biggest threat, it's often not some external force out there in the market. It's actually a lot closer to home. It's us. It's the psychological game we're all playing with ourselves every single time we click buy or sell. So, to really get a handle on this, we first need to know what we're actually up against. I want you to think of your investing journey like a voyage across a vast, unpredictable ocean. And on this voyage, you're going to face two, let's call them great sea monsters of risk. Okay, so your first monster is what we call unsystematic risk. This is the kind of trouble that's specific to just one company. Think of it like, I don't know, a key executive suddenly quits or a new product just completely bombs. It's a problem with one specific ship. The second monster, though, that's systematic risk. And this thing is like a massive hurricane that churns up the entire ocean. We're talking about things like interest rate hikes or a global crisis. It hits every single ship out there. But here's the really interesting part, the kicker. You can actually fight that first monster. You can build up defenses against those company-specific problems. But that second one, the big storm, you can't fight it head-on. No way. You just have to learn how to navigate through it. All right, so if we can defend against that first monster, how do we actually do it? How do we build a portfolio, a fleet, really, that's basically unsinkable when it comes to that unsystematic risk? Well, the answer is one of the oldest and honestly one of the most powerful tools any investor has. Yep, it's as simple and timeless as that old saying. We're talking, of course, about diversification. You spread your treasure across a bunch of different ships. That way, if one of them starts taking on water, your entire fortune doesn't sink to the bottom of the ocean. And check this out. This chart just shows you the pure power of what we're talking about. See? With just one stock, just one ship, your risk is way, way up here. But watch what happens as you add more ships to your fleet. 2, 5, 10. That company-specific risk just takes a nosedive. It doesn't disappear completely, mind you, but wow, that drop is just massive. So is there a magic number? You can see on that chart there's a point where the curve starts to flatten out. So how many stocks does it really take to get the job done? Well, a lot of research points to a surprisingly specific number. And that number is 21. Yep, a ton of research suggests that holding right around 21 different stocks is kind of the sweet spot. That's the point where you get pretty much all the diversification benefits we just saw in that graph. Sure, you can add more, but it's not going to reduce that company's specific risk much further. This is a super powerful, really actionable number you can use. And this, right here, this is what it's all about. It's that peace of mind. It's knowing your fleet is strong enough that if one of your investments hits some choppy water, the rest of them are going to keep you sailing along just fine. All right, so we've built our fleet. We're ready for that first monster. Now let's kick it up a notch and talk about navigating the entire ocean a bit more intelligently. And for that, we're going to need some navigational tools. In the world of investing, those tools are, you guessed it, numbers. First up is something called variance. Now, don't let the name scare you off. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. All it does is measure how much a stock's price swings around. So, a stock with high variance, it's all over the place. Think really choppy, stormy waters for that one ship. A stock with low variance is a much smoother ride. Okay, so here's the scary-looking formula for it. But listen, don't worry about this. Seriously, you do not need to be a math whiz or calculate this by hand. All this formula does is look at a stock's history, see how far its return strayed from the average, and then it spits out a single number that tells you how choppy it is. The only thing you need to remember is what it represents, a simple measure of a single stock's riskiness. That's it. Okay, that's one stock. But what if we want to know how two different stocks behave, in relation to each other? For that, we need our next tool, and it's called covariance. And this one is absolutely key. Covariance tells us if our ships are all sailing with the same current, or if some are tacking left while others are going right. See, a truly resilient fleet isn't just about having a lot of ships. It's about having ships that don't all get smacked by the exact same wave at the exact same time. So when you put all this together, variance, covariance, diversification, you can start to plot out all the possible portfolios, just like you see here. Now see this curve along the top edge? That has a special name, the efficient frontier.
And you should think of this as the ultimate treasure map for an investor. It literally shows you, for any level of risk you're willing to stomach, this line shows you the absolute best possible return you can expect to get. That's the holy grail of portfolio building right there.
Okay, we've talked about market monsters and mathematical maps. But now we have to face the most dangerous monster of them all. And it's not in the market. It's the one that lives right here in the captain's mind. We're talking about our own biases.
Come on, be honest. How many of us have thought this exact thing? I've lost 5 times in a row. I've got to be due for a win. Whether you're at a poker table or staring at a stock chart, that one little thought is one of the most destructive things you can tell yourself. It has a name, it's called the gambler's fallacy, and it's this totally mistaken belief that past random events somehow influence what's going to happen next. But they don't. The market does not have a memory. Each trade is a brand new coin flip. What happened on the last 5 flips has absolutely zero, and I mean zero, impact on the next one. And here's another one we all fall into: the illusion of control. You see this all the time. We load up our charts with like a dozen different indicators, trend lines, oscillators. We create this super complex dashboard that makes us feel like we're in command, like we can predict the unpredictable. But really, a lot of the time, we're just adding noise and giving ourselves a totally false sense of confidence.
So why is this stuff so important? Why does mastering our own psychology matter so much? Just look at this table. The numbers don't lie. The math of recovering from a loss is just brutal. If you lose 10% of your money, no big deal, right? You just need to make 11% to get back to where you started. But look what happens if you lose 50%. You need to make a 100% gain. You have to double your remaining money just to get back to even. This is exactly why avoiding those big emotionally driven losses is everything.
Okay, so we've sailed through some treacherous waters, we've charted a course using numbers, and we've stared down that enemy in the mirror. Let's pull it all together and find the keys to that treasure chest. At the end of the day, it really boils down to these 3 things. First, build your unsinkable fleet. Diversify and use that number 21 as a solid starting point. Second, chart a smarter course. Understand not just what you own, but how all those pieces move together. And third, and this might be the most important one of all, master the captain's mind. Learn to recognize and conquer the biases that can sink even the best-built fleet. So there you have it. You've got the map, you know where the monsters are hiding, and you have the tools to navigate the journey. The only real question left is, are you ready to be the captain of your own ship?